I want to welcome you to another edition of Joe's Politics 101. I want to take a few minutes today to promote my book, Radical Republican Tea Party. You know, I talk about the Republican Party, and then I tack on some information about the Tea Party. What inspired me to write this book is the emergence of the Tea Party during the 2008 campaign and the election of President Barack Obama. You know, in his being elected, I knew and understand from the beginning that he would not be, received and accepted like most presidents of the United States have been welcome to run the country, even though all Democrat presidents seem to have more problems than the Republicans when it comes to issues, when it comes to race, or when it comes to any of that stuff. But my book it's a good little read. This whole book is a good little read. It's 121 pages long, and in it I discuss quite a few issues. I shorten them up, and the contents. Basically, the contents of the book is it's a preference where I lay out how I feel, or how I would see or believe that our country should be perceived to the world, and that's how we should look out for each other. Part of the preface is, it would be nice to live in a world, and most of all a country, where education, technology, hard work leads to the success of our future as a people, and a country where human beings are viewed and treated as such. That's just a portion of the preference, and I clarify some issues on how we view race in the clarification section. And in my acknowledgement, I talk about some things that have affected my life and how my life was changed by individuals that I have known throughout my life. And in the introduction, I pretty much explained what brought this book about, and what really brought it about was my frustration over what I've seen happening to our nation over the 8 years prior to 2010, with the George Bush and Dick Cheney era of running the country. And in chapter 1, I talk about a place and a time. A place and a time, that being my home, Hobbs, New Mexico, a little town in New Mexico that was founded in the early 1900s. And as it evolved, as I grew up, from a dusty, dirt road, mud spread desert town into a pretty nice city by the time I grew up and had left home and joined the military. In it, I talk about the Jim Crow laws that were in existence, how I perceived things, how school was, how the community I lived in was, and just some information that a lot of people don't know. This book would be good for elderly people. It would also be enlightening to millennials, children who don't really know what the past was about, and the history have not been explained to them by their parents, and some who just need to pick up a book and read it sometime. And it's a short book, it's a short read, and it's a good read. In chapter 2, I talk about the presidents that I remember, starting with Ike Eisenhower. As a young boy, I can remember people talking about, we like Ike, or I like Ike, and Ike Eisenhower was a good president. He was as a matter of fact, and from my point of view, he was a great president for one reason, and I guess whatever his accomplishment was during his presidency. But one of the things that stand out most of all is what he did for the American people, for people inside the United States of America. And some of it involved the segregation problems that we were having in the United States back in those days. And then his biggest thing was to the development of the interstate highway system, which we still live with today, and realize that how important that was to be able to transport goods and supplies and take vacations and go from coast to coast, in a very easy manner and a comfortable manner on the interstates. In the presidents that I talk about, I go from Ike Eisenhower all the way to Barack Obama. Some of our presidents were good, some of them were bad, some of them were truly bad, and I talk about those in this book, Radical Republican. The original title was just going to be Radical Republicans, but I thought about the Tea Party group, which is, in my opinion, is totally an acronym to the Republican Party. They've attached themselves to the Republican Party because it would be easier for them to do that than to try and attach themselves to the Democratic Party, because Democrats are not receptive to the inequality, the ideas of inequality that the Tea Party group promote. One of the things about the Tea Party that really bugged me and bothered me was this saying they had of take our country back after Barack Obama was elected president. I mean, I've always said, what are you going to take your country back from? And who are you going to take it back from? It seems like it's in the same place. It has the same political system that it has always had, and nobody's hijacked it, except the Republican Party has hijacked the political system of our nation and turned it into it's our way or the highway type of a political system, that if they don't get their way, then nothing works and nothing is going to be accomplished. And I knew that when I wrote this book, and part of it is that, if the Republican Party and the Tea Party gain control of any faction of our governing system would never ever be the same until these people are diminished or have played out. And that is included in this book. A lot of what I wrote about in 2010 is what we're seeing play out today in 2013. All of the obstruction, the trying to take away benefits, the demolishing of state and local governments, taking away democracy and turning it into, some of the state governors are basically dictators, because they're telling cities they can't do this or can't do that. They won't provide the funds that they need to carry out their function on top of their tax base. The money that the federal government give them that should filter down into the municipalities don't get there, because the state governments are choosing to do what they want to do with it. And I also talk about civil rights. I talk about the American rights. I talk about Sarah Palin. Where did this girl come from? Where did this woman just, this is a despicable person from my point of view. She was really a despicable woman. And I couldn't understand her attitude and behavior. She's from her parents are from Kansas, or she's born in Kansas and transported to Alaska, where she was governor. And I can almost guarantee you that she never did anything for the native Alaskans. So, then I talk about the American rights, and basically when I talk about American rights, I'm talking about civil rights, minority rights, gay rights, women's rights, and a number of other, issues that goes on in there. And I'll talk about the Muslims. I speak a little bit about them. Is it a race, a religion, or a terrorist group? And it goes into a little bit of detail in the chapter, which is chapter 10. And then in chapter 11, I talk about the Republicans. The Republicans. All about money and power. And this, you see this playing out, and it becomes more obvious as we move further into the decade, the century. How they're trying to keep people poor, the majority of people poor, and have just a few rich people who are controlling everything that goes into running our country and how our country should be written. One of the things you hear Republicans say a lot of is what the American people want. And what I believe they've done in this particular issue is they've taken one segment of society, sliced it out, and decided that whatever we decide as a political party or as an individual, my ideas, is what the American people will have. Not what the American people want, what the American people will have based on what we're going to do in this country. Well, to me, that smacks of dictatorship, period. So, I took this few minutes here to sort of promote my book. It does well, I would like to see it do a lot better. The book is called Radical Republicans, Tea Party, written by me, Joe Freeman, published in December of 2010. And I would like to see the sales go up a little bit, I'm being a little selfish about it, but, it's important. But I think you would have made a good investment if you purchase it and read it, and I believe you would enjoy it. It would give you some insight on how a person like myself, who's just a common everyday working guy, feel and see things, and how I've seen them throughout the years that I've been living. And I'm no spring chicken. So I want to thank you for taking a peep at this, and I hope that you will purchase one of them. And God bless you. God bless America.